Ron from Ronald Law, and in this video we're going to talk about EB-5 real estate financing. This is an investor immigrant program and can help you raise money for your next real estate project. Ron from Ronald Law, and in this video we're going to do a quick introduction to EB-5. So this is a program that has been around for a long time, over 30 years, but it never really took off in terms of popularity, in terms of amount invested and jobs created, until about maybe 10 or 11 years ago. It was very popular during the recession. Real estate developers couldn't get financing. There was a strong international community that wanted to invest in the United States. They get their green card, the developer gets cheap capital, and they're able to create American jobs at a time when there's a shortage of jobs. And so this really was popular, I would say, for about 5 or 6 years. I was very involved because I speak Mandarin Chinese. A large bulk of the investors were from China. And we're talking like 80%. At some points, it was like 90% of the available capital was coming from mainland China. And so since then, though, the visa backlogs have gotten very long. And so the wait has ballooned to call it like 4 years. So 2 to 4 years to get their initial approval. And then you need to file another immigration filing to get the green card. But this is really one of the only ways for foreign nationals, if you don't have a family member in the United States, if you don't have a job sponsoring you, this is one of the only ways you can get a green card is to invest. As of now, it's $800,000 or $1.2 million into a project. So we're talking, high net worth individuals with a lot of liquid funds that they're able to invest, get a very low return on, but in exchange they get a green card for themselves, for their spouse, for any dependent children. And so on a per green card basis, it's really quite effective. So again, I'm going to be producing more videos if you're interested in learning more about this type of capital financing, but it is kind of coming back into vogue, right? They passed a new law in March. They raised the investment amount. They reinstated the regional center program. I think they've done a lot of effort to create better boundaries about how the program is going to proceed post 2022. So roughly, if you have a new construction project, it's primarily used where you need to not just purchase existing buildings, but you need to do value add to the building. So we're talking new construction, can be residential or commercial. New construction project that creates some full-time jobs is beneficial, but otherwise, there's some caps, but you can roughly get, I would say, about 10 to 12 jobs per $1 million of invested. So if you have a $3 million project, you take one investor who contributes $1 million, that's a significant chunk of your equity towards your total needs if you have debt on that new construction project, and you'll create enough jobs for this investor to get a green card for him and his family. You get a low cost of equity capital. You may only pay a pref. You don't have to pay a percentage on the back end. So it can be a very lucrative product for equity if you need it in this new interest rate and new economic climate. So smash that like button if this is useful so far. Let me talk a little bit more about the mechanics. First, you have to create a business plan. You have to get either sponsored by a regional center. You could create your own regional center, which costs about $50,000 and takes about a year. Or you can rent a center, which is basically finding an existing regional center to sponsor you. The upsides are that it's very immediate. If you have a project that's ready to go, shovel ready, you can get this sponsorship signed, pay a little bit of fees, and you're good to go to start raising capital, and you can take an investor the next week. The flip side is, they usually want a little bit of an upfront fee per investor for the due diligence, plus they want to carry. They'll charge an interest rate per dollar of investor equity over time, every year. So in that sense, it's faster, but it's also more expensive. So if you're going to be committed to doing EB-5, it makes sense to do your own regional center so that you can control that part of your puzzle. Because if you start growing too big, your fees are going to be way more than it would cost to form your own regional center, and you just lose that control. You lose that control of the sponsor for your project. You come up with a business plan, you look with an economist to see how many jobs you can create, you go to market overseas. Hopefully you have some connections. You know, I really recommend people that have some connection, maybe have some business track record overseas to really get you started. And it's not limited to China. You know, Asia certainly is popular. Vietnam, India are the top countries right now, but in the past, Brazil was up there, Russia, UK is pretty popular. Not really Canada as much, but if you have connections in some foreign country, Nigeria, South Africa, Australia, wherever, it really helps to offer this program to a small set of investors who already know and trust you. But you come up with a business plan, you figure out how many jobs you can create, you figure out how many investors you can take, you go to market overseas, they invest the money, you file the application, you do the project. Even if you finish the project, you can sell and you can redeploy that capital into another project while their I-526 is pending. So that's a really good benefit of the new law, is that they've been very clear about redeployment of capital. So you build a project, you sell it, you make your profit, and then you just do it again, and you have this EB-5 money equity to reuse in multiple projects. So after that, you know, you file an 829 that demonstrates that the jobs were created, the project was completed as proposed in the business plan, the investor gets their green card conditions removed, and that's it. You know, you return the investor's equity with no lift or pursuant to the terms of your agreement, and that's it. So subscribe to this channel, check out my YouTube if you have more questions about foreign investment, and we'll see you next time.